Okay, welcome to today's lesson. In today's lesson, we're going to take a look at Chapter 2, Safe Lab Procedures and Tool Use. This chapter covers basic safety practices for the workplace, hardware and software tools, and the disposal of hazardous materials. Safety guidelines help protect individuals from accidents and injury. They also help to protect equipment from damage. Some of these guidelines are designed to protect the environment from contamination caused by improperly discarded materials. So there are really three main objectives in this chapter. One is to explain the purposes of safe working conditions and safe lab procedures. Two is to identify tools and software used with personal computer components and their purposes. And the third is to demonstrate proper tool use. So we're going to look at how we should have a good environment, look at some of the tools, and then how we should use them. So, safe lab procedures. There are three reasons why we want to follow safe lab procedures. One is to protect the user or people from injury, to protect our equipment from damage, and three, protect the environment from contamination, because most of the computer components do have some hazardous materials in them. Everyday use, how we use them doesn't affect us, but if we just throw them away and they go into a dump, eventually it could affect our environment. So let's look at some of the characteristics of a safe workplace. One, it should be clean and organized and properly lit. That means you don't want to have computers laying around in boxes on the floor so that you trip over them. You should have proper procedures for handling equipment. There are oils in our skin. Sometimes those oils do not react well with our computer components, can cause them not to operate correctly. Because of other things like static electricity, we need to protect our equipment, keep it in the proper bags and containers until we're ready to use it. We want to make sure we dispose of our recycled materials, or we recycle our hazardous materials in a proper fashion. Most companies will have procedures for this. And some safety guidelines. If you do get injured, most companies have reporting methods that you should follow. You should make sure that you fill out proper forms when you are disposing of equipment, and follow safety guidelines for just in general electrical and fire. One of the things to take in consideration is that you should remove jewelry when you are working on equipment. You don't want to get caught in there. You don't want jewelry to fall down into the components and cause damage. Also, you'll want to unplug all equipment before you begin working on it. That means from the power source, and also disconnect your computer case from the monitor. Sometimes people will forget to do that, and then there's power coming from the monitor. You should not open up the power supply or monitors or the CRT monitor. Remember, they contain high voltage and could cause harm. Also, before you work on any printers, make sure they've cooled, that they are also unplugged. You don't want to damage or hurt yourself because you didn't wait for them to cool. Remember to keep food and drinks out of your workstation. You want to, again, keep your workspace clean and free of clutter. So we're going to talk about some types of interference that can affect how our computers work. The first one is electrostatic discharge, ESD. And the second one is electromagnetic interference, EMI. So in ESD, this is something that usually occurs in the winter but can happen in the summer when air conditioning is running, and it's usually caused because of a dry, cool conditions, and it can build up, and it only takes 30 volts of static electricity to damage a computer. And when we feel static electricity, when you touch something and you get a shock, that's actually 3,000 volts that you're feeling. So it doesn't take a lot to affect our computers. So to protect them, we'll use anti-static wristbands and anti-static mats to help protect our computers. EMI is caused by usually other things. It can be caused by electromagnetic signals in transmission of media, such as copper cabling. The sources can be man-made or natural events, and such things as fluorescent lighting, radio waves can interfere with how our computers operate. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about power fluctuation. Power fluctuation can cause damage to our computers also. If our computers do not get the right voltage, then our power supply can't supply the proper watts to the individual devices within our computer, and that can cause damage. Such things as blackouts, brownouts, noise, spikes, and power surges can also affect our computer. Blackouts usually are a total loss of power. Brownouts are a lower amount of power. Usually it's below 80% reduction in voltage. Noise is interference that can affect how our computers operate. Spikes are a increase of power along with power surges. Spikes and power surges can be caused by electrical storms or outside interference. We have some devices that can help protect our computer equipment, such as surge suppressors, uninterrupted power supplies, or UPS, or standby power supply, SPS. So these are three things that we can use. Surge protectors can protect the computer from brownouts and noises and spikes. The UPS, if there's a power loss, the UPS can supply power while the computer is off. A standby power supply usually uses a switch and will switch the computer from the AC power supplied by electric company to power from the SPS. One of the things to note is you should not plug your printers into a UPS, because when printers such as laser printers go to print, they usually drain power. They increase the wattage they incur, and this could burn out the UPS. So we have some procedures to protect the environment, because our computers do contain hazardous materials, so you just don't ever want to throw them out. There is a material safety data sheet. There is a file that you can download in the reading material. You want to print that out and look at it, or at least bring it up on your screen and look at it. And it will, usually this sheet will summarize what materials contain hazardous materials and how they can affect personal health, whether they cause fire hazards, and any first aid requirements. Most workplaces will have a MSDS on display, so procedures can be followed if there should be contamination or someone is exposed or harmed by certain materials. And again, there are procedures to follow when disposing of such things as batteries and monitors and printer kits. We cannot just throw them away. batteries and printer kits should be recycled. Monitors, because they contain hazardous materials, need to be also recycled, and usually most municipalities have certain rules and regulations. You should not just be putting these out on the curb to have the trash person pick them up. So there are certain procedures to be followed. Many manufacturers of monitors and even printer cartridges will have a procedure to recycle these, and usually at no cost take them back. When we are working with our computers, we use specialized tools, and these tools are of 4 types. There are ESD tools, so to protect the computer from static electricity. There are hand tools, so that we can either remove parts or add parts to the computer. We have cleaning tools to keep the dust and dirt away from our computer. And then we have diagnostic tools that help us see if the computer is running properly. And they could be tools such as what you see there on the right, a multimeter. We have power supply checkers. We have cable checkers. We also have software tools that help us make diagnostics of the equipment. So our ESD tools are some tools that, which include usually 2 things. You see it in the top picture there, an anti-static wristband and an anti-static mat. The proper way to wear the anti-static wristband is to have it tight around your wrist. There is usually a piece of metal on the inside of the band. You want to make sure that is touching your skin. And then the other end, with the little scissor-like connector on the end, the pincher, you would connect to the metal of the computer, a non-painted metal surface of the computer. Your computer should sit on the anti-static mat. And again, there's a cable coming from that anti-static mat that you would attach to the non-painted surface of the computer. Hand tools. We have a great variety of hand tools that we can use in the computer to help us unscrew and remove things like the hard drive or the optical drives or the motherboard. And we have flathead screwdrivers, Phillips head screwdrivers, Torx screwdrivers, hex drivers, needle nose pliers, wire cutters, tweezers, part retrievers, flashlights, wire stripper, crimper, punch down tools. So all these things are specialized tools that we use in the computer. In the reading, there's a little flash activity that you can do. You want to click on each one and make sure you're familiar with the difference between a flathead screwdriver and a Phillips head screwdriver, that you know what a hex driver is and how to use them. And you always want to make sure you use the proper tool for the proper equipment. So you don't want to use a flathead screwdriver on a Phillips head screw. One is that it doesn't really work properly, and 2, if you are adding extra pressure trying to remove the screw with the wrong tool, you could slip and it could hit you and you could damage yourself. So not only could you damage the screw by stripping it, you could slip and cut yourself. And so just always use the correct tool for the correct procedure. So cleaning tools, we want to make sure we use the proper cleaning tools on our computer. We use compressed air to blow out the dust. You do not want to spray liquids into the computer. It can damage the computer. You always want to make sure it's unplugged, that you use lint-free cloths when wiping the computer down. Use special isopropyl alcohol when you're cleaning contacts. You really shouldn't touch the contacts or direct slots with your hands in the computer because of the oils that are on our hands. We don't really notice it, but it can affect how our computer runs. And proper cleaning of a computer can extend the life of the computer. Dust that builds up inside the computer case can cause the computer to overheat and affect the life expectancy of the computer. So regular cleanings are an important part of maintaining our computers. And then sometimes we will use diagnostic tools to help with our computers, such things as multimeter, which are used to test the integrity of circuits. We also have devices like a loop back adapter, which will help us test the basic functionality of computer ports. There are power supply checkers. There are checkers for cables that you can use for your RJ45 and your RJ11 and your cable connectors, coaxial, so you can make sure that there are no breaks in the line when you're checking your network. There are things such as a toner probe, which will allow you to find out which wires go to which devices in case your system, your network wasn't numbered properly when it was set up. And then sometimes technicians will use external storage devices if you need to back up data for a customer. Here are some of the software tools that we might use with our computer. There are several software tools for disk management, such as FDisk, Format, Scan Disk or Check Disk, Defrag, Disk Cleanup, Disk Management, System File Checker. We also have special tools for Windows 7. We have Windows 7 Security Center, Antivirus Program, Anti-Spyware, Windows 7 Firewall. And then there are other tools to help you as a technician to organize your notes and help you gain knowledge and skills when working with computers over the long run. You'll take notes, you'll keep journals, you'll do a history of your repairs, and you also want to have sites that you use, websites for your internet references. It might be bulletin boards or logs or even Google searches are a great way to help you in your process of learning and fixing computers. So disk management tools help us maintain our computers, keep them running fast. Over time, computers become slow because of data and the way it's stored on the hard drive. So defrag programs are very important. This should be done on a regular basis. Along with antivirus software are important to our computers because most computers are connected to the internet today. It is important that we have up-to-date antivirus and anti-spyware programs on our computer. Proper tool use. Just a quick check here. Remember that safety in the workplace is everyone's responsibility. Before cleaning or repairing equipment, check to make sure the tools are in good condition. Make sure that they have not become magnetized. Magnetic tools should not be used on computers, so just do a quick check every once in a while so your computer equipment or your tools do not become magnetized. Proper use of an anti-static wrist strap can prevent ESD damage to the computer components. Remember never to wear an anti-static wrist strap if you're repairing a monitor or a CRT. If you're working on a power supply, which this course does not train you to work on monitors, power supplies, and printers. Again, never wear that anti-static wrist strap when working on a printer also. The proper use of an anti-static mat transfers static electricity away from the equipment to a grounding point. So you always want to discharge yourself before you go in to work on a computer, and usually you'll have your anti-static wristband on, you'll have the computer on the mat, and you want to touch a piece of metal on the computer first, not a piece of the motherboard or RAM, but actually metal of the case, so that way you can discharge yourself in case you have any anti-static buildup. Make sure you use your tools properly, and make sure you clean your tools, and you also clean the computer equipment on a regular basis. Remember, always turn off and unplug all cables before you clean any computer equipment. Can't say that enough. Make sure it's always unplugged. So that is the end of chapter 2. So it's a quick chapter, but it is a very important chapter. Make sure you go through and you read all of the components thoroughly of the chapter in your readings. Do any of the labs that are there as you're going along. So remember that work in a safe manner is to protect both users and the equipment. You want to follow all safety guidelines to prevent injuries to yourself and to others. You want to know how to protect equipment from ESD damage. You want to know about and be able to prevent power issues that can cause equipment damage or data loss. And know which products and supplies require specific disposal procedures for those hazardous materials. You want to be familiar with the MSDS sheet for both safety issues and disposal restrictions to help protect the environment. Remember, there should be one posted in the workplace. If there is not one, you should talk to your supervisor about creating one. Be able to use the correct tools for the task. Know how to clean components safely. Remember that computers should be unplugged. Use a soft rag, lint-free, wipe the computer parts down, use compressed air. Make sure you keep your tools organized and you always put them away back in the case properly. Don't use your computer tools on other non-computer equipment. So keep your tools just for the computers. Always put them away. You don't want the metal parts touching each other in your toolbox. Sometimes they can become magnetized if you let that occur. So that is the end of chapter 2. Hopefully you will now understand safe lab procedures and how to use your tools. And till next time, have a great day. Thanks.